The Amp Theory Podcast with Peter Vazquez and Scott Kalnasy.
Take two.
Yeah. I'm happy that we fucked up early.
Yeah.
So that we could start over. You guys don't want to know what happened.
Yeah, you might see this on Facebook or the social media, just to kind of like bring you in, laugh a little bit.
But it was bad. I'm happy we started over.
Yeah, it's so weird to not have Jonathan with us today to like rein us in.
Yeah, people sometimes give you their word, and
You knew this was coming.
you think that it means something, but some people are full of shit.
Right, yeah. Like, hey, my mom wants me to have dinner, but it's also WrestleMania Sunday.
Yeah. So here's a little trick. Because I used to be a manager, right? Mm-hmm. And when an employee, not saying that Jonathan's an employee, he's definitely a partner in this.
Yeah, not saying that you did this, but we have
but
conspiracies.
We do. When somebody tells you, hey, can I have this day off? And you're like, damn, you know what? I don't think it's going to work. And they're like, oh, okay. And they tell you for whatever reason. Like, let's just say the reason is I want to watch WrestleMania. Like, I'm just throwing it out there, right? Let's just say that's the reason. And then you're like, oh, man, sorry. He's like, oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And then the day comes and it's like, guys, my mom is really wanting to do dinner with me and all this other stuff. And you're like, yeah, we're not moving the shit.
Yeah.
And so when somebody calls in.
I'm also slightly offended by your white guy voice, but whatever.
I'm not saying that.
It's definitely what Jonathan sounds like.
So, don't call in sick when you don't get that day off, is what I'm trying to say.
Don't
right?
call in sick or call in family dinner 2 hours before we're supposed to be here.
Don't give people your word if it isn't worth anything.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, well. Nah, we're just messing with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's not that crucial.
I guess.
We can do it without him.
I mean, this is how it started. And, it's fine. It's fine. If anything,
I'm not hurt.
I think I feel better because he was always kind of looking at us a little funny and breathing all hard and stuff like that. Yeah. But, anyways, this is our little bit of payback for...
Yeah, we're totally just messing with you.
Yeah.
You got this. Oh, 1,000. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize I was recording it. My apologies. I didn't mean to flex on you or anything. Sorry, I wanted to interrupt the podcast real quick. Not to defend the disparaging comments that have just been recently said about me. We'll get to those another time. Just know that I can edit you guys in any way that I see fit. What I did want to let you guys know is that we have a sponsor today. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to throw it back over to Bobby and Pete, which is what I'm going to call them from now on. Guys, back to you. Tell us about our sponsor.
Peter, you ever seen a Rocky movie?
Yeah.
When he's not getting his ass beat in the ring, what's he doing? He's training. And when he's not running on the beach, what's he doing then?
Beating me.
Wrong. He's jumping rope.
Here at the Amp Theory, we're about building community. And the homie CFAV,
The real
in
CFAV.
partnership with Cross Rope, has jump ropes for you. So if you're trying to build strength
Or endurance.
go to www.crossrope.com/therealcfav.
That's the most important part. www.crossrope.com/therealcfav.
And go pick out a jump rope that's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Little note from the editor. I know I'm not on here that much. I'm behind the scenes, the guy in the chair, if you will. I wanted to thank our sponsor, crossrope.com/therealcfav. Links will be in the description down below. Thank you to everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. We love we really feel the love and support you guys have been showing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like I said. And here we go, episode 4. Take it away, guys.
But guys, episode 4.
Finally.
Of the Amp Theory, the conclusion, the last bit of Amp, the P of Amp, right? Persistence.
Yeah.
And this one's fun, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real good. It just because Peter said it's the conclusion doesn't mean that this is the last episode.
No.
You made that sound kind of final.
Oh no, I meant it's the last part of AMP. That's all I was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but so yeah, persistence
Yes.
is today's word of the day, brought to you by
It's an SAT
the
word.
letter B.
It's an SAT word.
So, like we do with every other part of the AMP theory, we start
Yeah.
off with the definition,
Yes.
right? And the definition of persistence is continuing firmly in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
I do too.
And, definitely after mindset and everything, I think that it,
They kind of go together. Like mindset does kind of go into persistence.
yeah.
Because you're putting practice into play now, right?
Yeah. I think that accountability and mindset are really important in getting yourself started, right?
Mm-hmm.
But persistence is really the how behind
Yeah.
everything, because people sometimes think that the persistence that we're going to be talking about is going to be about so if you're exercising, right, or you're trying to lose weight, it's just exercising more than not, right?
Yeah.
But while yes, that is going to be part of persistence, persistence is also persistence in accountability and persistence in reining in your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always going to take maintenance on these things.
Yeah. A lot of people, it's easy for them to start. It's easy for them to get motivated into like, hey, I'm going to do this day one, go 100, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't always work that way because you're going to like hit roadblocks. But like if you're persistent, if you're continuing on your journey, because motivation will get you started, persistence is like what's going to keep you moving forward towards that goal.
Yeah. And I've had to change my perspective on persistence. That was gonna get me. My perspective on persistence, and because I'm a little bit hard on myself, right? And there's been a lot of things that in my mind I've started and stopped and started and stopped and started and stopped.
Sure.
And I've always seen those things as failures, and I would get down on myself, and it kind of fueled my negative mindset quite a bit.
Do you look at it as kind of like training for preparing for a sprint as opposed to like an endurance race?
Yeah, I think that was one of my biggest failures, as I was going into that trap of like, oh hey, I have an idea, I'm gonna do this, and then goes to try to change their life, because I think anytime you have a goal, it's because you see yourself at that goal, right?
Sure.
But sometimes the embodiment of that goal, let's say for somebody who's wanting to work out, let's say it's a bodybuilder, right? And you're like, oh, okay, I can see myself doing that. So then you try to change your life to start doing that. And then all of a sudden, you don't realize the years of discipline that is at that finish line or that further in the journey
Right.
has put into it.
Yeah, because when you see that on like social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, you see, I wouldn't even say like a final product, but you see a more developed product.
Yeah.
So people who are kind of like in that like mindset, they're like, boom, I'm motivated. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
It's that very beginning, and they're like, okay, I've seen the results. I've seen what that guy can do or that girl can do, and I'm gonna go out and do it. And like that's the motivation, but there are pitfalls to like having like that kind of motivation, because sometimes you can get discouraged because it's not, because when you see these things, it's like right there, boom, click, like punch of a finger. It's instant. People want instant gratification, but it's not always like that, or it is not like that. Like you see a product, you have the motivation, go for it, but you have to continue down that path.
Yeah, for sure. And that fucking snap was loud as fuck. I don't know if the mic picked it up, but that shit kind of got me off guard. But no,
yeah, I snapped pretty loud.
but that's 100%. How do you feel your relationship with persistence has kind of been in your journey?
So, personally, for me, it's been a little touch and go, right? Like, there's always motivation. I can find motivation in anything, but sometimes that motivation fades. And when that motivation fades, or like how we talked last time with like the mindset, I have to build momentum sometimes if I'm just not feeling it. So last time I said, I don't want to put my shoes on. Well, if I'm going to get to where I want to be, I got to put my shoes on. Then it's like I got to get my keys. Then I got to get to the car, I got to get to the gym. Like those kinds of things, like those little build-ups, you know, they help me get to where I need to be. That way I can stay on track. And with it, whether it comes to like going to the gym or when we would go to school, it's like those little build-ups, like they give you a better mentality. That way you're not as, I don't know if I articulate the word. You're basically in a much better place mentally to actually keep pursuing your goals, and you can be persistent in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely get that when it comes to like getting yourself to do those. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, right? Let's say from the time that you started your journey and working out to where you're at now, you know, I know that you've gotten yourself to do these things on a daily level.
Yeah.
But on times where things do slow down and maybe you are on the reverse, you know, you're not really gaining traction on your goal.
There's been that. Yeah.
How do you handle that, like personally?
So, and I'm not recommending that everybody do this, because you and I, we've talked off camera. We talk to ourselves differently than other people probably would. So in order to like remotivate myself, like what I basically like laid out before was kind of like, this is a daily battle, right? Like persistence is a daily thing. Like persistence, someone, I forgot exactly who said it, but they're like, persistence is like patience in motion. So like I have to understand that if I'm motivated and whatever I want to do, I can't just go 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And if I'm on the rebound and I feel like I've been to like a point that I wanted to be at, and I want to get there again, I know as hard as it is, I can't go 0 to 100 again.
Yeah.
So like after I got COVID and it messed with my body, I realized as much as my body felt better enough to where I could do work, like it wasn't in the kind of physical shape that it needed to be in. So instead of going and pushing heavy weight, I was like, maybe I'll start with a walk. Maybe I'll build my confidence back and keep at that, and little by little, you know, develop like those little goals. Like if I walked this far, or if I could like curl 10-pound dumbbells, I could just build on that and just like maintain that like consistency of like getting better and better. Then, you know, I was able to kind of like get back into where I wanted to be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's actually great that you brought up the conversation we were having, like, was it yesterday? Yeah. I mean, you know, guys, when it comes to us, like, there are certain things that motivate me and Scott, right? Like, I mean, and part of that is really us wanting to be a little bit more badass than maybe we really are, or that we think ourselves to be. So, and I think that it's something that a lot of people in like fitness kind of do, right? Where I think only a few people actually have the right to act like that. Okay. You know, I would kind of say maybe like the Navy SEALs, you know, the Goggins types, right? That ultra runners, like big endurance athletes, fighters, you know, people that like to do that, you know, shit, that takes a lot of courage, you know? Yeah. But most people, right? Like most people, we use these words like, yeah, go to the gym and grind, hashtag no days off, fucking I punish my body. You know, we use these very aggressive words. And to people with different temperaments, like, you know, it's not very appealing, you know, and they're like, wait, what if I'm not trying to break my body down, right? Like, what if I just want to build it up, right?
They're like, what if I don't want to be like, hey, bitch, get out there, put in fucking work? What if they're like, hey, buddy, like, maybe you try harder today?
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? So, you know, if I had to be 100% transparent, right? So when I started running, right, mile 1 sucked.
Yeah.
Legs hurt. Also, remember I was like 240 something pounds, right? Almost 250. So I had a lot of weight coming down on my knees and on my legs, right? 3 miles, that was hard. 5 miles was hard. 6 miles was hard. But the gaps in between this, like I ran 3 miles a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Now, when I run like the 14 mile, the half marathons and stuff like that, it is hard, but it's not as hard as it was in the beginning because I'm in way better shape. My legs are conditioned, right? Like, don't get me wrong. It's hard, but it's not the way that you make it seem. And that's going to be that way with everything, right? The most pain that you're actually going to feel is the beginning steps when your body is adapting to anything. It could be playing guitar, right? When we were playing guitar, what's the first thing that started hurting?
Oh, your fingertips.
Your fingertips, because you have no calluses, right? And it's like you say, wait, is this going to be forever? It's not. The more you play, the better it gets, you know? Same thing with studying, right? You sit there and you try to study and your brain starts fucking hurting, you know? But the more you do it, the easier it gets. And a lot of people think that once you keep adding all these miles, these pages read, these scales learned, you know, all these, like, whatever it is that you're working on, that it gets harder. No. Like, physically, the pain doesn't get much harder than when you first start.
Right.
And the reason why is because you go from maybe not pushing yourself past being uncomfortable to all of a sudden being way comfortable, feeling pain. But just like anything, just like your body adapts to the weights, to the workload, to the mental load of reading and all that stuff, right? How it adapts is so as well you get adapted to the pain.
Right.
And so that's why when you hear us say like these aggressive words, if that motivates you, great. Like, yeah, I mean, because it kind of is that. Yeah. But complete transparency, it kind of is also not that.
Yeah.
We're not, we're not these fucking big ass badasses, you know?
No. And I think like when I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, all right, motherfucker, let's go. Like, you know, I'm not a badass, but in my head, like, I have to feel like one sometimes in order to get there. Like when I'm at the gym and I'm like lifting weights, like I make mean faces in the mirror. I don't give a fuck who's looking at me. Like, to me, I'm like, this is a time to like put in work. This is a time to like make yourself better. And so
Scott looks at himself. He's like, "You're bad."
It's like, so he's gonna lift a little bit more, just a little bit
bad
harder.
Boy, Scott. You should watch himself lift. It's hilarious.
Yeah, my pink onesie. What's it called? A unitard. That's what I would work out in.
Yeah, but for sure, man.
Yeah.
Like,
just because we're aggressive, like I would never say that shit to you. I'd never be like, "Come on, bitch, keep going," or like something like that. I wouldn't do that to you because I'm not in your head. I don't know in that specific moment like what you're going through. So it's so much easier for me just do it to myself. I wouldn't do it to anybody else. And if somebody else is like, "Hey, like," I don't talk to myself like that. I would never turn myself down like that. I would never do anything of the shit that you're doing. Yeah. Cool. Like, if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. We're talking about what works for us.
Yeah, and you know, us being new to this, you know, I think we're growing, and that's kind of something that we did want to let people that are watching know, because we don't want those who don't have that, who get motivated by just saying, okay, like I'm doing it. That motivates me. You know, I don't. We don't want to discourage people from hitting certain goals because they think it's just going to be shit all day. And if it was going to be shit all day, like, you wouldn't have people that are like really into fitness, like just feel good. Yeah. You know, like they're usually in really good attitudes and stuff like that because of the endorphins, and we can go through all those chemicals released and all that stuff. Yeah. But if it really did suck, like, they wouldn't be happy. You know, so don't let these words discourage you. Is what basically we're trying to get at. Yeah.
And I don't want to, like, we don't want to sound like pretentious either and just make it sound like we know exactly what we're doing or exactly what we're talking about, because we said over and over, like, we're kind of dumb.
Yeah.
This is a whole learning process. Like, as much as the podcast is a learning process, learning how to play guitar was like a long learning process. Learning how to like lift weights correctly without hurting yourself is a long process. Yeah. Like the first run that I took, you know, I forgot how to run. I hadn't run in so long that like I forgot how like my natural bounce was. So it was like I was like running flat-footed and my back was all up, and I was like, this feels weird. I felt like any different direction of the wind blowing could knock me over just because I felt so off balance. But by the end of that run, kind of like learning, or they say you never forget how to like ride a bike, right? Or it's like learning how to ride a bicycle. Like you basically never forget. Yeah. It was. By the end of that run, I had relearned how to run. Yeah. And I was like, man, if somebody comes chasing me, like at this particular moment, like at the end of this run, I'm good. But at the beginning of it, I was like, I'm done for. Zombie's gonna catch me.
Yeah. And you know, for sure, like, you know, not coming from a place of superiority or anything like that, because like I'll be completely transparent. Right now, I'm on day 3 of like rest, and that's because in the month of March, I ran 133 miles the whole month, and I only took like 2 or 3 days off the whole month. So I was like running consistently every day. But also at the same time, you know, I'm going to where I'm running a substantial amount of miles, but my diet is kind of like still at the point of where I was like trying to lose weight. You know, more of like a keto-esque diet, not a strictly keto, but mostly keto type of diet. And I wasn't following keto like on purpose. It's just kind of like I just cut out some carbs, so it was like a lower carb, but still keeping vegetables in and stuff
like
that.
Kind of like how we're talking about being persistent.
Yeah.
You cut out one thing, but still managed to do all your other things that you wanted to do, and then you just continually like kept cutting out like a little bit more bad, bad, right?
Yeah, and the reason I'm telling you that is because like 3 days ago, like my body shut down. Like you know, I was like physically exhausted to the point where like I felt like I had a fever. You know, like my body was hot. Like I was like fucking seeing shit, you know. And I'm telling you this shit just to show you know, that transparency, that we're not like, you know, we're learning this, and we're you know, trying to give you guys the information as we're learning it, but we're in the middle of a journey, right? Like I'm trying to get somewhere, and I'm just a little bit further from the starting line than you're at, but like I'm learning shit, and I want to share the mistakes or maybe the pitfalls that I find myself getting into, you know, and how I struggle with it mentally and how I overcome that, because I find myself in the same position as you guys do, right? Where I'm like doubting myself, and you know, where coronavirus came out of nowhere for you, and you know, basically you know, when you're riding a bike and they stick the freaking stick in the tire and shit, you know,
it threw me for a loop, man.
Yeah.
Like there are people who've had it and they've had like zero issue. There's people who've been like asymptomatic, like nothing's happened to them. But for me, what it was, you know, for 8 days I had like a 102 point something fever. I had a constant like migraine headache. If I got up to take a piss, like I'd get dizzy, and if I got dizzy, I wanted to throw up. And I had like these like crazy like painful tingling sensations that would go up and down my back. And so for like those 8 days, like I never, since I could still breathe, I never thought like, oh my God, like, is this it? Like, am I not going to make it through? Because unfortunately some people have, or a lot of people haven't. But for me, it was like the questions I had for myself were, am I ever going to be normal again? Or if I get over this, because I've heard of like the things that it does to your body, I'm like, what is my new normal going to be? Yeah. Luckily, I've rebounded from it, and my new norm is basically just my old norm, except I've incorporated like more like running into like my workouts. Yeah. That's pretty much it. So I actually feel better now than before I got coronavirus.
Yeah. And that's great. And you know, life is going to do that, right? And that we're gonna use that to give you guys some good news, right? We got some good news, right?
Yeah, like persistence, perseverance, whatever synonym you want to use.
Synonyms?
Synonym you want to use for it. Like, yes, stay the course, but you also have to understand that like your growth is going to have some pitfalls, but it's not all bad news. Like if you fail, just try again, like reassess.
Yeah. And you know, that good news that we do want to let you guys know is that you guys are persistent.
I almost snapped
Yeah, don't do it. You guys are persistent, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example, right? I know that a lot of people listening, one of their goals is going to be like more fitness type goals, right? Mm-hmm. And January 1st comes along, and what does everybody decide that they're going to want to do?
They want to lift weights. They want to get in shape.
They want to get fucking jacked. Just
yoked.
Yeah.
Chest day, check. Leg day, time 3, check.
Shredded, right? And so January 1st comes along, and that's when the gyms get packed. I used to be a personal trainer. Gym first came along, and it's like, man, gym's going to be busy, right?
Yeah.
And everybody shows up, and then all of a sudden, February comes.
So
a lot less people.
Oh yeah, I've never been a personal trainer. Like I've helped people who decided that they were like, "Hey, I want to get fit with you." I'm like, "Cool. This is what I do. This is when I go." January 1st, I've gone packed. Yeah. Can't get on a bench. Can't get on a machine. Can't do anything. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait. I'll wait all these people out. Yeah. And 2 weeks later, it literally is crazy how much January 1st people want to go.
Yeah.
First week, it'll cut by like 25%. This is no joke.
Yeah.
And then by that second week, it's like 50% of like the people that were in there. And literally by like February, there might be some new people in there who are like legit, like trying to change themselves, and they're pushing past that initial like motivation, and they're like staying the course. So like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. February 1st comes around, like the majority of those people are gone.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to get on a bench.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to get on a machine.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kind of happy.
Yeah. But you know, like that's the encouraging thing is that like you are working towards this goal for some of the year, even if it's in the beginning and then you pick back up in March and then you let it go and then you pick back up in November. You know, even if it's in spurt, you're being consistent.
Yeah.
You're being persistent. So now the way that we have to change the perspective of that is like, okay, so I've been working towards this goal, because a lot of the times when we want to do this stuff, we want to say, okay, January comes in, I'm going to start working out, and by summer, I'm going to be looking fine. And
that's what I said to myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm like, boy, you going to be fine.
Hot boy summer.
Hot boy summer.
But the thing is that in order to change, like, let's see, what summer starts when?
I don't know.
Motherfucker, you knew I was going to ask you this.
Okay, so I think summer starts in June.
Okay, let's say summer starts in June.
June
right?
1st. June 1st. Summer
right?
day 1.
Yeah. So that's what, 6 months in, right?
Yeah.
You think in
half a year.
Yeah. You think in half a year, you know, you're gonna go from being, you know, 25+% body fat to all of a sudden so thin that you're gonna be able to see the ripped abs and all that stuff, right?
You think you're gonna go from Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec to Chris Pratt Star-Lord?
Yeah, and is it possible?
Absolutely.
Absolutely possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of discipline that it takes to do that is probably not the type of discipline that somebody who allowed themselves to get to 25+% body fat is going to be able to change, right? Unless you have, you have to be like really disciplined.
Yeah.
But the good news is that year in and year out, at some point, you're working on it. So how are we going to bridge those gaps, right? On anything? Because I actually had a conversation with somebody from work, and she's also doing her real estate license, right? And she's like, man, like I need to be more persistent in studying. And I'm like, well, you have been. You know, like you study, right? You just let it go for a while, and then you come back later, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so is that not persistent? Like the goal now is how do we bridge those gaps?
Yeah, because a lot of people, and myself included, they take like that first like I don't even want to say failure, but that first, we'll say gap, right? They take that first gap and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to take this time off because I really need to like recharge. And then it might take a while to come back, but that's not a failure. Like you're still being persistent because you are still continuing from like where you left off, right? Like it could be with anything, because I know you mentioned like us playing guitar earlier. Like we've been in bands, we've played shows, we've pretty much done like we've recorded albums, like we've done anything that we could do, but it didn't happen on day one. It didn't even happen year one. But we stayed with it, and even though we're not in bands anymore, like music is still like a part of like who we are. Like I still have the calluses like on my fingers, like that defines who I am for me personally. Like because I still play my guitar, I still practice my scales, I still jam with songs, I still remember all my old songs that I used to play. Just because I gave up being in a band, kind of like how you said earlier, like off camera. It doesn't mean that you gave up being a musician. Like that's still part of who you are.
Yeah.
And you're still persistent with what you do. Like the putting the idea in your head onto like a guitar or onto a track.
Yeah. Yeah. And so don't feel discouraged, right? When you haven't reached the goal that you've been wanting to reach yet. Right?
Yeah,
that's the magical word.
Yeah, it goes back to what Carol Dweck said about like the mindset, the fix versus the growth mindset.
Yeah, and so this is a work in progress. And again, like when you want, when you have goals such as being healthy, right? Like nobody says, "Man, I want to get in shape. I want to have these muscles. I want to be shredded, and then I'll be good with just getting back to where I was." Right? Like nobody ever says that that's the next step, right? Is I want to reach the goal and then I want to get back. You know what?
They're not like, let me get to the top of the mountain and then just jump off.
Yeah. You know what? I want to go to a school for 4 years, study, get a diploma, and then let it go. You know, and then not use it. You know, like nobody says that. It's like for the next goal, right?
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we focus so much on reaching that short-term goal that we don't think that this is a lifestyle change.
Yeah, some people can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
Everything is immediate.
Yeah.
They're like, I have to get to this goal by this date. They don't think about like, okay, well maybe if you take your time, maybe if you slow it down just a little bit, have a little bit of patience in yourself, you can reach your goal. Yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, but like the foundation that you've built, like with muscles, right? Everybody wants to get bigger biceps, bigger chest, bigger legs. Nobody wants to like work on like their core or like their stabilizing muscles in order to get them stronger. Nobody wants to like take that time to stretch. And that mindset, like I've had it too. I'm just like, boom, 0 to 100, just fucking chest press, just fucking go. If I had thought about it, I was like, cool, maybe I'll start out slow. Maybe I will build these stabilizing muscles by doing lighter weight.
Yeah.
And maybe, it's going to take me an extra 6 months to get where I want to be, but I'm not going to be hurting myself because going 0 to 100 day one, you're prone to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that actually leads us to the next part, which is, okay. All right. So we're kind of debating on what this should be called. Maybe in the comments, you could guys let us know what you think sounds better, right?
Yeah.
So, persistent killers or
persistence stoppers.
Both mean the same shit. We just don't know how to say it.
Yeah, because we're trying to like make sure that like somebody's not like, they're talking about murder.
Yeah. No. But basically, we are talking about those things, right, that kill our persistence, right? And so I think the first one that we address is the fact that you think that you're failing every time you stop.
Right.
You're not. This is just a gap in your journey, right?
Yeah.
It's like
it's a pause.
Yeah. You're walking and you decide I'm gonna take a nap. Sometimes that nap is for half a year. Sometimes it's for a couple weeks. Sometimes it's 3 days. I'm on a 3-day rest, because my body was basically breaking down, So tomorrow I'm gonna get right back at it, So that's the first thing. You are persistent.
Yeah.
Because you don't stop wanting that thing just because you stop working towards it. You just stop working towards it, but you probably still want the thing that you want.
Yeah, you absolutely still want the thing. Like it just.
You want the thing?
I do.
We want the thing.
I want to get like ASMR. I definitely want to like increase like my potential and grow. Right. Like that's never gonna go. Because even like when I do take breaks, because your body will need breaks, like regardless. Like you took a 3-day break.
We break our body down
Yeah.
to rest.
Right.
Yeah. And then we get back at it.
And then you fucking get back out there at it again.
Yeah.
5 a.m. Get up. Go. No, it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah.
And just because we talk to ourselves like that, like I've told myself 100 times, get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
The people you look up to do it. How hard is it to wake up at 5 a.m. even if you don't do anything?
Yeah.
Like even if you just sit there and like read a book, or I used to draw and paint. Like maybe I'll draw a picture or I'll do something.
Yeah.
5 a.m. comes, I'm like, snooze. I'm gonna snooze back to like 7 o'clock. And then I feel like I'm like behind like the curve. Like the day has already got like the best of me because I didn't wake up when I planned to wake up. I didn't do what I wanted to do. It's like, I'll try again tomorrow.
It's like talking dirty to each other. I'm like, hey, I call him up and I'm like, hey, Scott.
Is this like another 10 p.m.? Hey, fuck you.
No.
Because I will say that I've had a couple of people do that to me.
No. They actually do this to Scott. He likes it.
No.
You give him a call and then he's like, hello. And then you're like, hey, Scott. And he's like, hey. He's like, hey. And he's like, hey, did you get after it today? And he's like, oh. He's like, yes. and then it's like, hey, hashtag no days off. And you're like, ah.
I wish no days off was a real thing, but it doesn't exist in
It
my
doesn't
life.
exist.
No.
But just call him. He likes it. He likes it. But okay, so yeah, that is one of them, right? That's one thing that kills your persistence, right? Another thing, right? And I'll go after this one. People are gonna hate me for this one, right? But
Oh shit.
Accountability partners. I'm sorry. It's bullshit. Like
It's super bullshit.
it's super bullshit because
Hold on. I will say I have to put an asterisk by this because when you and I were going to the gym together, maybe it's because we had like the same goal. Maybe it's because we were working towards the same shit. I never had an issue with you as being like my gym partner, accountability partner, right?
Oh yeah, I was gonna show up.
Yeah. I knew no matter what time it was, it's like you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be there.
But the thing also that like you've known, like because we've gone back to like when we were playing music and all this stuff, right? Is that I'm a little bit of an asshole sometimes, and I tell you, hey, I'm gonna be doing this if you're with me or not. So you're either gonna be there or you ain't gonna be there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of worked in our relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you take it personal. You're just like, oh shit, okay, we're either gonna do it, we're not gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens is like people say, oh man, I'm gonna lose some weight or I'm gonna do this, right? Let me find somebody that wants to do it too, because I have no faith in myself and I have no belief that I'm gonna do it regardless. Period.
Yeah,
Point blank.
Yeah, you get that fixed mindset of like, if I can't do it alone, I need somebody.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're kind of subconsciously giving yourself an out, right? Because
Yes.
the day that partner doesn't want to show up, it's like, oh, okay. Well, since he didn't go, or she, I guess that I'm not gonna go. And
Yeah.
it's like, no. You're on your own individual journey.
Right.
You gotta go regardless. You
Yeah.
know? Now, if somebody who you deem your accountability partner is not gonna show up, like tough cookies. Like,
Tough cookies.
like your ass still gotta fucking go, you know? And like I have had people like ask me to be that for them, and it's been hard for me to tell them like, nah. Like sometimes I don't. Sometimes I avoid the whole situation, but like let me tell you why. It's because it's fucking hard as fuck to keep myself accountable. How the fuck am I gonna look calling you up asking you if you're doing your bullshit when I gotta like make sure that I do my bullshit? And if I'm not concentrating on those little victories you do, like imagine how hard it would be, right? For you to say, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna put on these fucking shoes. But first, let me call Peter and see if he's putting on his shoes. You know? Yeah.
Peter, you putting on your shoes?
He's like, no, I haven't. So you're like,
Peter, put on your shoes.
Yeah,
'Cause if you
nah.
don't put on your shoes, I'm not gonna put on my shoes.
Yeah, let's just not put on our shoes.
So let's just not get after it. That was something. So kind of like how you're talking about, right? Like it's hard enough to keep yourself accountable. It's hard enough to like maintain your own path and stay persistent. When we were going to the gym every night together, like it was easy. Like we're both like we were both there. We were both 100% about it because we both had like the same goal. It's hard to find somebody who separately is walking the same path. Because if you weren't going to show up, I was still going to go. And if I wasn't going to show up, you were still going to go. It's hard to find that that person who's still going to continue, like even if you're not there. After you moved to Nebraska, like I tried to kind of do like the whole plus equals minus thing, right? I tried to find somebody who wasn't much of a weightlifter or who wasn't much like in shape yet, and I tried to shepherd them along the way because they had that mindset of like, I can't do it by myself. I need someone to help me. And as the bigger guy at the time, I was like, come with me, little man. I'll show you the way. I'll show you the way. And I've had, outside of you, I've had 3 different workout partners. 2 of them quit after 2 weeks. And I'm not going to name names. And then 1 quit after 1 day.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like, you knew we came here to put in work.
Yeah.
You knew that for this hour and a half, 2 hours that we're here, we are here to break ourselves down and build ourselves up, better ourselves. Again, we say things like, get the fuck up, let's move, let's do this shit, like, come on. But it was hard to actually have to, because I knew what I was doing because you taught me. And I learned pretty quickly because I knew you weren't going to, like, wait for me. So it was pretty much like boom, boom, boom on the fly. I had to learn how to lift correctly without hurting myself. I had to learn how to, fall in line with you and lift the same amount of weight you were lifting. I had to do that so quick that when it became my turn to, like, teach, I tried. I really did. But what took me away from my personal growth, my gains, my things like that, and this sounds super selfish and some people might hate me for it, was the fact that this gym session no longer was a gym session where we're working out together, training together. It was like a classroom. And as much as I wanted to continue with that and help somebody, like I would have to go back and like work out alone.
Yeah.
Or I would have to meet them there after I had already worked out, just so I could help them.
Yeah.
But like being someone's accountability partner, like to that extent where you're being a teacher, sometimes it's tough. And I loved everybody that I've like worked out with.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to keep doing it.
Yeah, and you see, like, I think that one thing that is that you're giving your point of view as the person who had the most knowledge, but the point of view that you guys aren't getting is the point of view of the person who thought, hey, it's a good idea for me to work out with Scott. He has more experience than me. Well, like, sometimes you don't know that maybe the person who has more experience than you, that you think, oh, if he does it, he'll help me hold myself accountable. It doesn't work. Like, look at yourself at the point of view of the people that were trying. They went into it, I'm pretty sure, with the same ambition and with the same, what's the word? Want as you did, right?
Yeah.
But because the levels were maybe so drastically one way, they were like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And also because, hey, Scott may have been really good at working out, but maybe Scott wasn't at the level where he is good at also teaching.
Yeah, I definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
Because while I was trying to like help them stabilize and trying to help them, not hurt themselves, I got some pushback.
Yeah.
Like I really did. I was like, hey, they're like, hey, I got this. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, they're like, look, I was like, look, you're my friend, right?
But you live like a bitch.
No, I would. That's only when Jonathan was working out with me. No, like it was to the point where I was like, I came in here and did what I had to do before you got here, and now I'm here to help you not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want to fight that, like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be the one who takes charge. You're gonna have to change your mindset. Realize that you don't need anybody but yourself.
Yeah.
And you can hold yourself accountable on your journey because we're in 2 different points.
Yeah.
And you just have to, like Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
Like, this shit is not easy. Like, whether it be working out, studying, or, trying to reach whatever goal you want to reach. Like, if you're going through hell, keep going. Like, you're doing something right. Like, if you are continually growing and you're like in that dungeon and you're like pushing past the pain, like, keep going. Like, you will find like what you're looking for on the other side.
And also, I don't know if you guys heard, but it's 2021. Almost any information that you want with diagrams of how to do it. You know how I got certified to be a personal trainer?
Google?
They send me a fucking book.
Google?
No, they send me a book.
Well, you got your PhD on YouTube. I figured you had to become a personal trainer on Google.
I actually paid top dollar, bro. I got certified NASM, top personal trainer certification in the world, leading global personal training. No, that's not that serious, but it is a good one. But they send me a fucking book and a few DVDs.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, look, this is how you do the shit right. Come take a test that you already paid for, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was good to go.
Yeah.
You know? So like, that's all that gave me the knowledge to get a certification that allowed me to work at a gym and to tell you what to do.
Okay.
Right? So if you're not trying to teach somebody, you can look up the exact same shit by looking at it on YouTube. And the thing is, like, I know that the intent is pure. I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting these things, right? But you never know what you're setting yourself up for. If you're somebody who's very driven and is going to figure out, and you choose an accountability partner who may have the exact same energy you do, but doesn't have the exact same mindset and is going to maybe be a little bit more of a complainer than you, that's going to throw your shit off. And next thing you know, you're like, damn, we went into this shit together. Now I don't want to work out with this motherfucker. So I'm just going to have to quit just to lose this accountability partner, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're somebody who then picks somebody who's really knowledgeable, right? You better hope that he's also knowledgeable and is a great teacher.
Yeah,
that's going to have the patience to stick with you. Or also the patience to remember, hey, when I started, I was sore as fuck when I did this. So maybe I shouldn't go as hard on this motherfucker. But next thing you know, you try to keep up because your ego comes into play. You try to keep up, or you pick the person who's just really short-tempered and it's like, nah, motherfucker, you ain't doing this shit right, you know, or whatever. And now you feel less than, right? And you feel like you're hurt because it's like, well, he said that mean to me and, you know, he's making me go too hard and now I'm too sore. And now you've pumped the brakes on something that could have been very great for you.
Yeah.
When your ass could just show up by yourself, go at your own damn pace, do the work beforehand, right? And then just go at your own pace. If it's one day a week, it's one day more than you were going. If it's two, if it's three. So that's why accountability partners, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, like I said, we both said, like, this is probably not like the most popular portion of this topic. Yeah. But it is important to understand that you don't need somebody to make you persistent. You don't need somebody else to, you know, to kind of push you along. If you're along your journey and this is what you want to do, like, I didn't need you. You didn't need me. And I can admit my shortcomings as trying to be like the bigger guy and trying to like be a teacher. But, you know, when it comes down to it, like, I maintained my course. Like, I stayed like with what I was doing. I had the grit to keep continuing, to keep getting stronger. And a lot of people, and again, I'm not trying to sound pretentious or anything like that. It's just based off like personal histories. Like, you know, a lot of people don't do that. They find that first hurdle and they can't get over it. They find that first pitfall and then they like want to stop. But like, if you really want to make change, the best way to do that is to stay consistent and just continue down your path.
Yeah. And I think that leads us to the second one. The second.
Do you want to take
persistence?
Take a break real quick?
For what?
I can check on the.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
All right, Jonathan. Whatever time stamp this is, I'm knocking. This is a first break.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah. So the second, I guess, topic that we want to talk about when it comes to killing your persistence or stopping your persistence, comment down below which one you like better. But
a lot of people play first-person shooters. I think they're gonna go killers.
Yeah. It's crashing, crash dieting, crash exercising. Like, just you're going from having one type of lifestyle to all of a sudden it's like, your boy's getting in shape. I'm going to go straight back day, chest day, leg day, core day and arm day, and then do it all over next week, you know? And you change your whole life, and your body's like, what? What are we doing?
Excuse me?
You want me to do what?
Yeah, that's the 0 to 100 method, man.
Yeah.
Like, I've been guilty of that too, and what's happened is I've hurt myself.
Yeah, and not only that, but especially when it comes to dieting, you go from. Actually, let me take 2 seconds because I gotta get something off my chest.
1, 2.
All right,
Ready?
let's go. So look, most of life today is geared to having us be exactly how most of us are. Let me explain, right? The food that people make nowadays, like your fast foods, right? The convenience foods, they're not just made to feed you. They're made to make you addicted. Like the salts that they put in there, the sugars, right? The sugars in the drink and the salt in the food are there to trigger your brain to eat more. And they're so high in calories, right? And guess what? Our human brains are taught to eat because we come from times where there wasn't enough food. So we are triggered to eat, right? Now, that's not just when it comes to eating and food, right?
Right.
That also comes to like studies, right? Why is it that whenever you want to sit there and do school or study for this or that, right? Why is it that it's so hard? Because fucking TikTok and Instagram are there and YouTube are there to take your attention. They're competing. Why is it free? Because they know that, like, if I keep your attention, I'm going to sell you to this sponsor. So when you're scrolling on Instagram and some fucking shit for like that you were talking about pops up, like I was talking about, I need to buy some shorts to run. Next thing you know, I'm scrolling through Instagram and it's like all these fucking short ads. It's because they know what you want, right?
Skynet.
You're gonna go on
becoming
Instagram.
sentient.
Yeah. You're going to go on Instagram, right? And you're going to look at whatever you like, right? If you like sports, you have it right there. If you like UFC, you have it right there. You got like girls, boys, you know, like whatever the fuck you're into, it's right there. It's geared to keep your attention. And so when you think about, why am I not studying? Probably because you're on YouTube.
Guilty.
Probably because you're on Instagram. Now, it's not that you're a shitty, undisciplined person. Is that this shit is geared to keep your attention. So food nowadays is geared to make you keep wanting to come back, and your attention is being taken by all this stuff. So the cards are stacked against you, right?
I got a question for you. Do you think that, because you're talking about like the fast foods and everything, or like even just going out to dinner, like everything that they put in the food is becoming like more and more unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's just more of a comfort thing? Like people are just like, because you said like we live in a time now where everything is like so easily accessible. But back in the day, people used to just eat because they didn't know when they'd eat again, or they'd like run because they'd be chased by like predators. Like, do you think that we just are too comfortable now? Like everything is just a comfort for us. Where we live, we don't live in huts anymore. We don't live in caves. We live in houses. We live in apartments. The food, it's just so readily available. You could put something in the microwave for 2 minutes and then, calorie.
Yeah. Everything is easier now, you know? And that is part of the problem. We don't put ourselves through hard things, so things become easier. But because life is so much easier, like because food is not just easier to get, but it's so delicious because it's engineered to be delicious. Because there was this one thing that I was looking at, right? And it was, his name was, what the fuck was this motherfucker's name? So he was Sigmund Freud's nephew. I believe it was Sigmund Freud. I could be wrong. But this motherfucker, right?
Jonathan, when you get this, fact check that.
Yeah. So this guy was a psychologist, and he was trying to figure out how ads worked and how he can get people to start buying things, right? Like companies got him, right? And so his name starts with a B. It was like Bernie or something like that. But anyways, so he said, let's say you were gonna sell apples, right? Now, do you think that in you selling apples, you're competing with all other fruits?
No.
No. What are you competing with?
Other apple salesmen. Peoples.
No. You're competing with all other foods.
Really? Okay.
Right? So the thing is not to, if I'm selling apples, I don't want you to eat apples with your dinner. I want apples to be your dinner. I want apples to be your breakfast. I want it to be your snack and your lunch. I want apples to be on your mind every single moment of the day.
An apple a day will keep the doctor away.
I want all the apples a day, you know? And so whenever you think about, like, now you're fucking McDonald's and you have like all this fucking food, like all this fucking money, right? Are you competing with other burger spots? No, you're competing with all other foods, right? So I'm going to engineer my food to be the most delicious fucking shit you've ever had. Now, it may not be delicious, but your mind is going to be like, oh shit, all this shit is like triggering all my pleasure sensors, right?
It's gonna be 1 a.m. I'm hungry. Where should I go?
McDonald's.
I have options, but there's a McDonald's on every fourth corner,
And it's fucking open,
24/7.
just ready to go.
Apples.
Yeah. So I tell you that, right? So to understand why crashing is not a good plan, because you go from foods that are engineered to make you crave them, from like, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to just stop watching like everything, Instagram, YouTube, everything. Leave your phone at home and see if you're not just like, I started this exercise.
There's anxiety.
Yeah, I
There's
started an
anxiety in
exercise.
that.
Every morning, I used to wake up and go through social media because it would help me wake up. It would get my mind firing, right? Well, now I started doing this thing where I get up and I try to wake myself up, and then I'll just sit there for the first part of my day and just think. I literally just sit there and do this. And I'll allow myself to think. And you'd be surprised how hard it is for me to focus on a thought. Like, I go through like this, and this, and this, and oh man, like, what about that shit? And you push off so many things to think about, right? Like the things you have to get done, because you don't realize that when you sit there and you watch Instagram or that YouTube video, you're pushing off thoughts, you know? So you're not thinking about the shit that you should think about. And all of a sudden you sit there and you tell yourself, all right, I'm going to think, and you can't hold a thought because all these things you should have been thinking about are happening. Well, that's what happens when you start trying to eat healthy, right?
Yeah.
You pick healthy foods that are just real food. That it's like, hey man, I'm not trying to compete with all other food. I'm just food. You eat me, and then next thing you know, you start eating, and you're like, okay, cool, and you start going through withdrawals.
Something that I learned too, like it was a hard lesson from like the 0 to 100, right? When I was like, okay, I know I have to like lift weights, but now I have to worry about what I eat. I had a problem when I went to go buy the food that I wanted to eat because I went to the store hungry. I went to the store with the mindset of like, I'm starving now. What am I going to want to eat? And I overspent. And like, because I overspent, like it, you know, was a hit on the wallet, but it was also like a waste. Like I bought all this stuff, I bought all these apples that I was going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I only ate like 3/4 of my apples, right? Like that too is also like a pitfall that you have to get past. Like you can't go to the store hungry. You have to go knowing exactly what you want. Like I was told like a workaround of that was, you know, create a list. What do you need? What's essential to your goal? Go out and get all the apples you need that you're going to eat. Instead of going out and buying the whole fucking store of apples.
Yeah.
And like that was something that I learned pretty quickly after, you know, I felt my first pitfalls. Like, oh my God, like I wasted all this money. The money that I wasted, I could have spent that on McDonald's.
Yeah. And you know what? That's actually funny. Something that people don't think about, right? Why is it that whenever you start transitioning to healthy food that you're going to cook at home, your shopping habits are such, right? When you shop unhealthy, that you're like, let me get the shit I'm going to use for the next week and a half, and I'll just have it at the house that way I don't have to come back.
Let me get chips for the weekend.
Yeah, and that shit lasts that whole time. But when you go in with that same thought, you try to buy healthy food, right? And you're sitting there, I'm gonna buy this shit for for a week and a half. Next thing you know, you go and you're like, damn, this shit expires in like 2 days. Like, why is it that the unhealthy food, right, doesn't expire? Is because it has these chemicals that allow it to last a long time, right?
Yeah,
so you got to think.
unfortunately.
And so like think about not just sugar. Like, why are Cokes bad for you, right? So not just the fact that you have all these sugars, right? Have you if you've ever bought those juices, you know, like those cold pressed juices, right? The natural juice.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
When you go buy them, right? You know, you grab them. What do you got to do?
I don't know. It's been so long.
You gotta fucking shake the motherfuckers, right?
Do it again.
Yeah. Hey. you gotta shake the motherfuckers. You gotta shake them, right? But it's because natural stuff doesn't stay mixed, right? So again, if I'm competing with all other apples, right? If I'm a guy that makes Coke, when you open that Coke, I want the first drink to taste like the last drink. So I gotta find a way to keep all these ingredients evenly distributed. A chemical has that job, right? But when you go buy natural juice, natural juice doesn't do that.
So you gotta shake it up.
So you gotta shake it in order to drink it.
Yeah.
So again, these things that we're putting in our bodies aren't really the healthiest. So going back to crashing doesn't help because everything in life is... Everything you're doing is because it's easy to do, but also because it's geared for that stuff to keep that. So when you take that stuff out, you go through withdrawals and you basically put yourself in a bad situation. So a way to overcome crashing, and I know we mentioned it before, is to make small, easy changes that you can maintain for a daily period of time, for a daily that you could do daily, right?
Over a period of time.
Thank you. You know, I was an ESL student.
I went to college.
Yeah. And so that's why crashing is a persistent stopper.
Yeah.
And if you just do minor changes and you realize, hey, I'm gonna reach my goal, right?
Eventually.
But this is a lifetime goal, right? I'm just not there yet. And however long it could take me, I would like to get there 6 months.
Yeah.
But if it takes me a year, that is also okay, as long as I'm building the habits that are gonna be sustainable for a long time, right? So remember, don't crash.
Yeah, everything is baby steps. Everything is one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Like in order to like maintain the course, like you are gonna have pitfalls. You're gonna have these persistence killers or stoppers or however you want to put it. You just have to, have that grit to like continue to like endure. Like as long as you're persistent, you're gonna reach your goals, right? And again, we're speaking from experiences that are like personal to us. Not everybody is gonna agree with us. This everything with the accountability, with mindset, with persistence, everything that we've discussed like within the AMP theory, it's subjective. Like someone like it's subjective. Like people might not agree with us, and that's perfectly fine. But we're here talking from.
Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Jonathan, I need that as a soundbite. No, like the last thing that we want to sound like is like pretentious either. Like it really is coming from a place where we've talked about that the podcast is helping us in many ways, and we hope that it helps you as well. Like that's why we're doing it.
Yeah. We want to like. Because we failed before, and
many times.
Yeah, and you know what? And actually, that's one of the other persistence stoppers. Is like, I guess I shouldn't even use that terminology. Not that we failed, but we've stopped in our pauses, in our persistence, right? We've taken those things as failures, and it's taken time. Like because I mean, I am getting older. You are getting older. I'm 33. And in my 20s, I've committed so many mistakes. And I'm realizing that like a lot of this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, And if you're, even if you are older than me, right? Like life will continue,
Yeah.
And if you've hit these pauses, like the problem is when you stop, you feel like you failed. But the truth is you don't really fail until you've completely stopped. And I think the fact that you keep going to the same goal shows that you haven't quit on that. That's why you keep going back.
You keep going back to the well. You keep going back to like that drive. Like a lot of people, they want to go back to that initial motivating factor.
Yeah.
And like they revisit that. I revisited everything. Like they're like, oh man, like I stopped for so long. I want to get back to where I was. I want to be the person that I see inside myself. cool. You can do it. You can absolutely do it. You might not be able to do it in 6 months.
Yeah.
You might not be able to do it in a year. You know, have that like growth mindset of like, I'm going to get there. I just can't get there yet. And then stay the course. Like, be persistent. Make sure that you don't go 0 to 100 day one. Like build yourself up.
Yeah. And realize that you have different ways, like you have different tools in your tool belt, right? That you're not using one method or the other. Because another thing that stops people in their persistence, right, is let's say, hey, I'm going to get in shape. And so I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to start working out, and I'm going to start doing cardio or whatever, right? You put these two things together. And then what happens is that you think that they're one unit. So that then whenever you sit there and you get corona and now you can't work out, you're like, oh, okay, well then, then I'm done.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. So now because I can't work out and I'm sick, I'm also going to eat unhealthy. Like I crashed. Bro, I've been running so much that the calories in were so low compared to the calories coming out that my body was like, not sustainable. Now I'm going to have to, because I'm still in a journey, right? I'm going to have to relook at my diet and be like, okay. So maybe cutting out as when I'm trying to lose weight, maybe I'm past that point. Maybe now I'm to the point where it's like you're running the amount of calories, like the amount of miles where you need calories, So I'm going to have to go back and readjust. But it doesn't mean that on those 3 days that I didn't do anything that I was like, oh, well, now I can't run. Well, I guess now I can eat unhealthy. Now, I did eat some meals that I wouldn't have allowed myself to before, but it's because not only was I running every fucking day, but I was eating healthy every fucking day. I didn't feel bad that I didn't run those 3 days. I fucking earned it. I got to the point where my body was like, no more.
Take a break.
Yeah, so I think I earned being able to take that time off.
Yeah.
And I earned the In-N-Out burger. I'll admit it. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, you know what? I ate it. I did that. And today, I did go to like different restaurants now, but I picked healthy things to eat. I didn't sit there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get all
Chicken
out for
fried steak.
Yeah, like deep fried everything. No, like. It's like I did treat myself, but it's because now I'm at the point where it's like, oh, okay, I need some calories.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna go all out, but I'm not gonna be. But guess what? Starting back tomorrow, I'm right back at it again.
Yeah.
So don't make your goal contingent if only all these things are happening. If anything, you start thinking, okay, if I can't work out, if I do get hurt, well, hey, I'm resting. So the least I could do is continue to eat healthy.
Yeah.
The least.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, you know what? Like, fuck, man, you know what? Like, it's my boy's birthday and we going Hooters, and I love them wings. You know what? It's okay. I could eat that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I went to the gym today.
Yeah.
Right? Now, it's not to say that I'm going to eat unhealthy because I'm working out, or I'm going to only eat healthy because I'm going to the gym. It's like, no, you do need all these things, right? But they're not, one is not contingent on the other in the sense that if I fail in one thing, that means I get to fail in everything.
Yeah.
It's
funny, we're talking about all this food stuff, and the episode is about persistence. In keeping with the tradition of bringing up somebody who, kind of like inspires us like throughout the week or whatever we're looking into. There's a blind chef that I found out about. Her name is Christine Ha, and you can find her on like all social media. It's just her name, Christine Ha. She is a blind chef who won Master Chef in like 2012. Like, that to me is crazy that not only has she got a talent that she was like persistent with, like she kept at it even after she lost her sight. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like watching the videos of like her presenting her food and everything, and like the judges being like, oh my God, this is fantastic. Like, I can't believe you're blind. Like, it brought like joy to my heart to see something like that. To see somebody who, like, you would never think that you'd be able to, work in a kitchen. Like, you figure, like, I figured I'd cut myself like on accident anyways, but she's got no eyesight pretty much. Yeah. Like she said that she can see blurs of color barely, and everything is like she can probably spot like the light there, but like when she's in the kitchen, she's practically 100% blind. Like she is 100% blind, but you know she's feeling
Especially
around.
in the kitchen.
Yeah, she's feeling around. She's trying to get everything together, and like she is a successful cook.
Yeah.
She's been on the panel. She's been like a judge on multiple cooking shows, and like the fact that she is blind and still continued. She also is able to articulate probably a little bit better than someone who has their sight.
Yeah.
And I think that was like actually pretty amazing to see like someone who stuck with like their passion.
Yeah. And you know, like that's great. When you were telling me about bringing her up, I thought that was so awesome because like what embodies persistent more than somebody who is so set on a goal that it's like, yeah, if I lose my eyesight, doesn't matter. I'm gonna do this shit, you know, regardless.
Yeah.
You know? And that's so fucking badass, you know, like and I really hope that what people get from these stories is that like we're just trying to show you that where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
You know, like yeah, like you're always gonna have an excuse to not do something. You know, and there's always gonna be something that will probably justify you not doing it. But that's why we get so inspired by these people that despite all odds, you know, they go through. And if you go back to the definition of persistence, you know, is continuing firmly in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. And I don't think there's anything that really embodies that definition as much as that.
Christine Ha.
Yeah. And yeah, guys, you know, I really hope so. This AMP theory, you know, as we close it out, is really something for you guys. It's what we've come up with to help you, you know, along the way. If you keep yourself accountable, right? And what accountability does, right? It puts the power. It puts you in the driver's seat. It gives you the power, right? You are 100% the reason why you're at where you're at, but you're also going to be 100% the reason why you get to where you're going to get to. And that's something you can take pride in.
Absolutely.
Right? How you're going to do that is by keeping a great mindset, that growth mindset, right? Is that I'm not there yet. Right?
Yeah, putting the power of yet like into practice has been like a huge help for everything.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're on a journey.
Yeah.
Not everything is a sprint. It's a long distance run.
Yeah.
And like that's how I look at life now.
Yeah, for sure. And that persistence, it's not just persistence in the thing that you're doing, right? It's not just persistence in the goal, but in persistence in going back and holding yourself accountable, right? Like when you start hitting all those things and you start hitting your goals and you feel good, yeah. Celebrate those things,
acknowledge
right?
those
But remember,
achievements.
I'm not there yet. Hold yourself accountable. You still ain't done shit, motherfucker. Like unless you're the best at that thing that you're trying to get to, there's still room to grow. And you have to be persistent in checking your mindset. Our minds want to be negative. We hold on to those negative things, just like we talked about in mindset. Your mind holds on to those negativities more than the positivity. Like I sit there and like today something happened at work, right? That just rubbed me the wrong way. And I was doing my little exercise of thinking. I went to the car and I was like just sitting there thinking about that shit that happened. I'm like, no, Peter, we're supposed to be thinking positive. And I couldn't shake it. I sat there for literally 45 minutes just thinking about how I was going to tell this motherfucker off and tell him all this shit. And like, that's how powerful negative thought is. So you have to be persistent in not just accountability, but in your minds, in your mindset, and then also in the goal itself. But as you guys use this, you know, now that we've kind of come to the conclusion of explaining what AMP is, and we go into further episodes, we're going to talk about how everything else, getting started, discipline, and anything else we can think about, and how the AMP theory kind of, you can use the AMP theory to help you with your
the
goals.
AMP theory is like the building block of everything that you want to do.
Yeah.
That's basically why we went through our introductory episode where we basically talked about ourselves a little bit. And I do kind of feel that, you know, as we talk about accountability, mindset, and persistence, maybe some people have kind of like lost like the personalization of like who we really are and all these things. That's why when we do talk passionately about the things that we go through, we don't want to sound pretentious. We don't want to sound better than anybody. We're just giving you like our perspective. and it's subjective. You can agree, you can disagree, but at the end of the day, if we can have a conversation about it, I love talking to people. Like people leave comments on the videos, and we've gotten more views than we would expect, and we greatly appreciate that as we try to grow this show and this podcast. We want to talk with anybody and everybody. If you have questions, ask us. Like I have people who are personal friends who watch it and they ask me questions, and then I try to help them out as much as I can from my own personal experience, and I think it's been positive so far.
Yeah, we'll have.
I don't know if it's happened for you.
Yeah. I've had plenty of people, contact me and, give me great feedback and all that. And as we get into further episodes, nothing's set in stone. If you guys have questions, we're not opposed to sitting here and answering some of the questions the best way that we can. And and the one thing that I'll promise you is that if I don't have something that I've personally have gone through where I can answer your question and give you that type of insight, I will find you the answer. Yeah. And I will find you resources, and I will tell you what those resources are. The number one reason why we're doing this podcast is just to try to help. Again, like we always say, we want to build community. And we're in this with you guys. We're on our journey, and as you either start your journey or you continue to go on yours, hopefully our paths cross, and we can kind of just touch base and be like, oh shit, that's what you're doing, that's what I'm doing. Because I know I've told you this, but I hate talking about what people are going to do. I like talking about what are you doing, because I can sit here and talk all day about what I'm doing, Yeah. And so like I like having those conversations, and I hope that if our paths ever do cross, we could talk about those things. But feel free to leave those comments, reach out to us, and we'll address them, and we'll try to talk about them.
Definitely.
Also, like, you guys watching this thing already means so much.
Absolutely.
And we know that you don't have to do that. And the fact that you guys do, that's great. Liking our videos, following us on Facebook, on Instagram, and all this stuff. I know it's already a lot to ask, but if you guys could help us out to help share, I mean, that's basically the next thing. If this helps you out, if you really feel that,
we don't want to beat you over the head with it. Like if you genuinely like what you hear, see, whatever it is where we post, wherever, if you want to like, subscribe, comment, those things mean a lot to us, and especially like getting like comments, like getting like constructive criticism or whatever it is, like anything you and everything you want to talk about. Let us know. Like it's not just for us, even though this helps us. Like it's for anybody who wants to listen.
Yeah. Yep.
So Facebook, everything is at the Amp Theory. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course. And with that said, we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.